Well, the Trump administration has been very vocal about the importance of school choice. And Sean, now there is a new ad out attacking Joe Biden about opposing school choice. Take a listen.
When a student falls behind, a good teacher helps them catch up. A bad president would tie their hands, like Joe Biden would. Even with hundreds of public schools closed indefinitely, Biden opposes emergency parental choice grants, preventing parents from choosing options like private tutoring or charter schools if their public school is closed. A lost year is unacceptable, but 4 under Biden, that's a lost generation. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The ad was paid for by the conservative group Club for Growth, which is spending more than $5 million on that campaign. But will it sway voters? Let's bring in the president of Club for Growth, David McIntosh. David, thanks for being here.
Great to be with you, and thank you. I hope you liked our ad that our Super PAC Club for Growth Action ran.
Congressman, you've served in Congress, you've gotten elected, you've been around ads a lot. You guys have been very active in this realm. Tell me why this subject now? Why did you choose this way to go after Biden?
We were looking at 3 of the pivotal battleground states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Arizona, and we were testing it with some polling. Frankly, I had a hunch, Sean, that parents were going to be nervous about what's happening in the schools. They're being closed or their children didn't do well with distance learning. So I told the pollster, put something on there about education and put something on there, whether it's a positive to send money to parents so they can have choices when the school lets their kids down. And then we tested the negative, because we knew Biden had just gone to the teachers union, promised that he would shut down charter schools, promised he would eliminate any of the scholarship programs. So a direct contrast with President Trump, who's been great in talking about parental choice and giving parents the resources they need. And the poll came back and said it was like the number 2 issue of about 5 different economic issues. And we said, this is it's a sleeper. It's an issue that every American will relate to, right? But in particular, it helps the president in those states solidify his political base with conservatives and Republicans. And it helps him reach out to suburban voters and even minority voters who they get it. Their kids are in these dangerous inner city schools, don't have a choice for where they can go. And so I think it's going to be one of the wedge issues in this campaign that you wouldn't have thought about 6 months ago, but COVID's put it front and center because parents are so concerned about what's going to happen to their children and their education.
That's exactly right. You know, Congressman, the Trump campaign has also been targeting Biden's mental fitness. Has Club for Growth seen that as an opportunity as well?
You know, it's interesting. We didn't actually test that. I think it's a real question to ask, right? They haven't put him out there. He's been reluctant to go public. Now he's canceling going to their own convention, and he's slipping up in interviews. You know, Joe Biden's always said strange and bizarre things, but now they kind of sound like somebody who's missing a step. What I saw from some other people's poll is that really didn't affect, voters said it wouldn't affect their vote. My hunch, based on instinct, and Sean was kind enough to point out a lot of experience running races, is they may not in the end decide based on that, but it's an important question to talk about and to say something so that people can freely think about that. Is this an issue? Now, what I have heard anecdotally is I'm not sure he's fit to be president. And that might be the code word for we're worried about his health and his mental health.
Yeah. Congressman, your organization supports limited and small government. Where do you come down on what's going on right now in terms of this next COVID stimulus package?
We think the proposal that Mitch McConnell put together is a terrible bill, honestly, Sean. It spends another $1 trillion, and yet they've got 1.3 trillion they haven't spent yet from the last bill. But also, like on this education issue, it does nothing to help parents, but it continues to send the money through the bureaucracies, essentially to these schools that aren't opening, and the parents are left with no choice for how they can take care of their kids. On the unemployment insurance, it kept the bonus that pays people not to go back to work. So if something more is needed to be done, what we've said is take the old money and reprogram it. So if we need to continue the $600 COVID payments, take that old money that was not used, it was put there for big corporations and they haven't needed it, and switch that to something you can send to everybody, but don't do harm and say you only get the money if you don't go back to work. I mean, that's intuitively a dumb idea, but unfortunately the Republicans up there in the Senate, they're used to spending money through the special interest channels that they get credit for, and they haven't really figured out how to use this bill to lay out some free market, limited government principles. Now, fortunately, the president's holding back and saying no deal. And I actually think there's a good chance that they're not going to get a deal because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want one either. I think her goal is a little bit of a rope-a-dope. Let Mitch McConnell put out a bill, let them fight with themselves. Whatever they say, I'll tell them it's not enough, and then nothing will happen, and then she'll pivot and blame Republicans. So Republicans need to think about that and be smart, right? And say, no, we would pass a bill if it actually helped people. And here's what our ideas are to help people. But we're not going to go to the Democrat route of wasting trillions of dollars that don't really help people, and make it clear that that's why the negotiations broke down. And then I really like the president's strategy of looking at, well, if they don't pass a bill, what can I do by executive order? Because I'm going to be there for the American people. And he's looking at even a very innovative interpretation of giving a tax relief to every worker by reducing the payroll tax temporarily. That lets you increase take-home pay immediately for every American employee. I think it's creative. The laws hasn't been tested. It's never been done before. But I give President great credit for saying, if Congress won't do its job, I'm going to take care of the American people.
Yeah.
Congressman,
Great.
it's so great to have you. Thanks so much for your insight. It's good to see you.
Great to see you all. Keep up the great work.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, still to come, the University of Florida's famous Gator chant is being banned. Some say it has racist origins. We'll discuss after the break.